COVID-19 is not going to be the last disruptive force we face in the 2020s. In fact, at the end of this decade, we might look back and think it wasn't even the most significant one that we faced, because this decade is going to be one of deep disruptive change. Our team at TomorrowToday Global developed a model a number of years ago that we call the TIDES model of disruptive change. What we were trying to do is look for the major forces that were causing deep disruptive change in our world. And we came up with this model called the TIDES model. TIDES is an acronym that talks about 5 key areas of disruption. Technology, that's an obvious place to start. The I stands for institutional change. Institutions are the structures, the systems of the world that we've got. Everything from big systems like nation states and governments and political parties, to small institutions like your family, your religious gathering, your football club. However we gather together as people, these are our institutions. And I can't think of any institution that isn't undergoing deep structural change right now. Changes to the rules for success and failure in that particular aspect of society, life, industry, and so on. We need to look at institutional change and to see where those changes, those rule changes are coming. Probably the easiest example right now to give is how we should work in an office, right? About how we connect with each other, see each other face to face, rules about meeting with our clients and conferences and events and exhibitions. But there are many examples of these rule changes, and all of them impact how we go about our lives and our work, and we need to identify those changes and get ahead of them. The D stands for demographics. Probably my favorite example of demographic shifting is the fact that we should expect to live to 100 years. That's right, if you're younger than 30 now, you have more than a 50% chance of reaching your 100th birthday. And that's even with COVID in the mix, because COVID doesn't seem to be impacting young people that much. We need to plan for a longer life, but we also need to plan for other demographic shifts like getting married later, having fewer children, being more mobile, being more global. These are all the things that demographics look at. Demographics is probably one of the biggest driving forces of deep structural change in society, and many people ignore the signs, the warning signs that demographic shifts give us. Think about it this way: if you had a massive baby boom in the year 2020, you would know for sure that in about 12 or 13 years' time, we were going to need more high schools in our countries. In about 2038, 2039, we were going to need more universities. We would know that in 2045, there'd be more weddings. I'm giving you simple examples, but if we look at demographics and watch how demographics shift, we can actually make some serious predictions about the future. The E stands for the environment, and that's a natural thing to look at: natural resources, global warming, climate change, sustainability issues, and how those affect our future and the disruptions that changes in that environment will bring. But we don't only look at the negative side there, we look at all of the technologies and the shifts taking place in people who are bringing new solutions in this environment, especially solutions around energy, making energy, cleaner energy, storing energy better. There's a lot to talk about in the E of the TIDES model. And then finally, the S in our TIDES model. This is the one I enjoy talking about the most because it is shifting societal values. And this is about what people desire, what people want, what people feel a need for. And this is changing as much as anything else is changing in our world right now. And it is a huge driver of all the other things. It doesn't matter if you've got new technologies that nobody wants. We might get driverless cars, but if nobody wants to stop driving, if everybody enjoys driving their cars too much, well, then nobody will adopt the new technology. So we've got to have a look at how people's values, how people's beliefs are shifting, and what that means for society. Too many people ignore the social values, the beliefs and habits and desires that people have when they're thinking about the future. We use the TIDES model often with our clients, and we teach it to people. We help people to develop an understanding of it so that they can use it too, for two very important reasons. The first is that you want to make sure that when you look at the future, when you look for disruptive change, you don't just focus in on a few key things. I even think of them sometimes as shiny new toys, because we can just focus in on all of the technologies that are coming out. It's very exciting to talk about robotics and artificial intelligence and blockchain technologies and real-time translation, 3D printers, driverless cars, life on Mars. Very exciting technology. And yes, you must look at technology. That's why we start there. But then you've got to ask, well, how are the institutions responding to these technologies? Because the institutions can regulate these technologies out of existence. These institutions can block these technologies coming in. You've got to look at the demographics and say, are the technologies that are coming something that everybody will use? Is it only for a small niche group of people, or is it for a broad group of people? You've got to have a look at the environmental impact. Is this good for our planet, and are people going to see the value of this in our world? And then you've got to ask, again, I think very importantly, about the social values. Do people really want this? Whatever the shiny new technology toy is. And so the TIDES model helps you to have a broader view, to look at different aspects of the future, to look at different things that are going to impact our future, and not just get stuck focused on only one area, or get stuck maybe even just looking at COVID only. You realize there's a lot of other disruptors coming our way in the near future. The second reason I enjoy using the TIDES model is because it helps me to work out whether something is just a fad, whether something is just temporary, or whether it is actually something significant, a big mega trend, something more permanent. If all five of these areas are impacted, that means it's much more likely that this is something more permanent, more significant. And then we work with our clients to help them to take that insight about the future and ask, well, what do we do about it now? So yes, don't get stuck just thinking about COVID. Don't get stuck just responding to the COVID crisis. Lift your eyes up and have a look at some of the other disruptors coming our way, because the 2020s promises to be one of the most significant periods of disruption, I think, in recorded human history. Maybe that's a little bit of an overstatement for effect, but it's going to be one hell of a ride. So if our team at Tomorrow Today Global can help you to anticipate the future, to see more of the disruptive forces coming our way, and then to prepare for it today, we'd love to have a conversation with you and show you what we can do to help you make the most of this turbulent decade that we're living in.